Competitive games have been always a big part of my life, as I've been doing these kind of games the past 10 years and plenty of other games too. But the big ones I'm gonna name for the online section are World of Warcraft, League of Legends, CSGO and Overwatch. And what I'm doing here is, people are asking, my viewers are asking that, what makes you a better player? How are you always semi or high skill rating in different games? So how I got good in the games, and this is the kind of insight and information I want to share with you guys today. I want to give you my philosophy behind successful competitive gameplay. This is not a guide about playing specific game better in general. This is more like an overall opinion across the different games. So this is my way of sharing retrospective with you guys, and I've been divided this in the table of contents on 5 different sections. We're gonna look those one by one, so without further ado, my name is Hepodix and I hope you enjoy this video. So the first one we're gonna tackle is the competitive anxiety. So it's no brainer that it brings excitement to the table and players get this opportunity to show skills and how good they are in the game. And that's what is driving me all the time, is the reason that why I'm playing more competitive games is to develop as a player and become a better player. So it's always more exciting than just going on a quick match or normal game or whatever it's called in different games. But the competitive is that like, you get that different kind of mood that you're actually playing for a rank and you might get into the top tier and stuff like that. It always gets that imagination running wild, at least in my head. But the thing is that some games do come with a stress when playing competitive. This means like if you're getting penalized if you don't play too often. And I gotta agree on the Blizzard changes when they did that to Overwatch, that you have to play 1 game per day basically if you want to maintain your rank if you're above Diamond. Which is kind of too much in my opinion. Maybe 4 games per week or something like that, but it's a bit of a, like, Nazi side in my opinion, when you have to play like 1 day every day, like 1 game every day. It's kind of too much. Like in comparison to games like League of Legends, you don't have to play 1 game per day to maintain your elo, especially in lower elos like Platinum I'm in currently. You don't have to play that many games, like you can just play 2 games a month and you should be fine. So it might be somewhat stressful if you can't play that often, but maybe you just want to plan out schedule for that. That you, in Overwatch for example, you just want to play the 7 games in 1 sitting and then just do other things if you can't invest that much of time. So it might bring that little stress on the table, but you should feel stressed about playing video games. Playing video games is about having fun, so don't stress about those. But the most important thing about competitive anxiety is that I've been noticed that, and I've been seeing players that do get more nervous when they play competitive play compared to quick play. And this is related to phobias. When you get nervous when you play competitive game, it's about like defeating your mistakes. It's defeating your like quote unquote horror you're facing in. So let's say that your fear of heights, you got a phobia of fearing heights, or claustrophobia, that you're afraid of tidy spaces. How do you overcome those? Yeah, well, basically, if you're afraid of heights, you just have to experience those high places and visit those. There's no other way you can overcome that kind of fear. Is that gonna be on high places? You're gonna go on maybe amusement park rides, or just go into very tall buildings, and if you want to win that fear of yours, it's kind of related to gameplay as well. If you're nervous in different competitive games, I'd say just play more games, and that's what happened to me as well. When I used to play World of Warcraft like 9-10 years ago, I was in the top 1% of that battle group back in the day, Wrath of the Lich King expansion. I was doing kind of nicely even back then, but oh boy, I was nervous back then. But when you do more games, more competitive play, you start to realize that it's not as frightening as it used to be, and you actually start to overcome this fear of yours. And I've been really noticing that some people do experience nervousness. Maybe their voice is getting shaky, maybe their movement is getting shaky with the mouse. You're not as confident as in quick play. But that's a trial and error kind of thing. You just have to play more games till you overcome that fear. It's related to phobias, and it's related to this as well. If you're nervous in game, you just have to play more than till you're less nervous. And it's kind of a personal thing. Some people might overcome the fear faster than others, so don't compare to anyone else. Be like a personal judge to yourself and see how are you in the game and how does it feel. Do you feel more nervous after 500 games or so? So that's very important in my opinion. Don't be nervous. Well, of course, if you're nervous, you can't help it. But if you're playing and if you're feeling nervous, just play more. Just play more games and you'll be less nervous. That's what happened to me, and that's really great that you can overcome this kind of quote-unquote phobia that it is. So So the next one I'm gonna talk about is the mood. Your mood is very important when playing games. If you're in a bad mood, if you have a bad day, like someone sulked you in the job or the school day was terrible, maybe it's not the best mindset to go immediately some competitive games. That's for sure. So the best possible mindset when going competitive is you being optimistic and positive. That gives you more light to the game and you see more things that come out better in games. If you're in a bad mood, like you assume these 5 guys you're playing with are complete garbage, it's most likely that you're gonna win. But if you can see the opportunity within these players and think to yourself that, man, I'm gonna win this game now, it's much better to yourself and for the team as well. Because the bad mood causes the player to think things in a negative light, and this will going to affect other players negatively if you are feeling salty. And even the niche tone of your voice and the way you speak could give bad influence to other players. If you go into voice chat, for example, and you're like, "Hi guys," or in a like a negative way, you sound like, "Oh hey guys," or instead of being like, "Hey guys, what's up?" You know the difference. Even the tone of your voice can affect this a lot, and some people might even by listening you just a few words can tell you if you sound kind of negative that this guy isn't fun to play with, or if this guy is more positive, then this other guy might think that, okay, this guy might be actually the fun to play with. So it's very important that your mindset is very positive when playing games, and really if there are other players, if not yourself, that are salty, don't let the salty people affect your mood. You just rather want to try to be constructive and try to analyze what's best for the situation given. And I know it's not every time very easy. If you get this kind of bad situation, like I think Hanzo mains have become very, very hated. That's a good example for Overwatch. Like if you get a Hanzo main for your team, like what can you do? This guy won't gonna change the pick. So what are you gonna do? Well, you can't really affect it. That it's an RNG that gets the players for you and the enemy team. So instead of trying to sulk the Hanzo player, I'd say you just try to analyze the situation and see what's for the best. Like let's say Hanzo's ultimate is Dragon Strike, so maybe you want to try pick Zarya with it and make a nice combos around, and just to have a little faith in that player and think that maybe he's just decent enough so we can win this game. So don't go immediately like, "Fuck you, Hanzo man, you suck." That's just gonna trigger him more, and it's very more likely that you're gonna lose the game rather than you just trying to make something revolve around him, like pick that Zarya for example, which is a nice combo, that Graviton Search and Dragon Strike, definitely good combos around. So always try to think just try to be optimistic and positive with these kind of things. So don't get that hate get to your under the skin. And I know that some hate and some negativity has gotten under my skin as well. Like I almost got to top 500 last season in Overwatch, but there was this one guy who was over the top arrogant and negative, and I just hated that attitude. Like he just wanted to lose that game because we had one guy that was duo with other, and the other guy was only master and this other was grandmaster. So he thought like, oh, this guy's boosting him, so fuck you, I'm not gonna let him win this game. Like that's not really nice. Like you can't just judge the player by looking down his elo or skill rating or whatever. It just gives you a direction of where he's standing at. Of course, a grandmaster player is better than bronze player, but it gives you that kind of direction. You should be judging people right away when you haven't even seen how they play in general. So don't be too naive or negative when it comes to that. Just try to play with the players nicely and see what's best for the team. So the best results for the gameplay is to have fun. That's when you get best results, but the definition of having fun is not like you just want to play Hanzo because he's like, hey, let's have fun. That's not the thing. But in general, you enjoy the game. If you're not enjoying the game, then you most likely won't be developing in the game if you're not having poorly fun in the game. So it's definitely important that you have good mindset when doing these kind of things. It's very important. So good mood increases your chances of winning in a nutshell. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the interaction with other players. So this is definitely more straightforward if you're in a team or in a professional team or such. So you kind of know what kind of players you're playing with every single time. So it's more natural that way. So this is more towards into solo queue type of competitive play where you need to have a good kind of interaction with other players. So, and I already discussed some of this in the mood section, but I think there's more in it. So when you go play a competitive game, it's important that setting up a decent or good team composition in terms of roles or picks is very important. So players usually do prefer a specific role or job. So you want to make sure that as many teammates as possible are within their comfort zone. So this is very important when you talk with your team. You want to ask what do you want to play? Do you want to play tank, DPS, healer, or what the game does have those roles? And as for myself even, I do prefer to play in Overwatch, for example. I do like to play DPS or off tank like Roadhog and not as much main tank or support. So my comfort zone is playing DPS like Tracer or maybe Soldier 76 and for the off tanks definitely Roadhog. So every player I think has this kind of own comfort zone. So you want to try out and get as many players picking their best picks as possible. So that'll increases the chances of winning. So it's very important. And even sometimes you need to fill out roles, which is kind of wrong maybe. But it's right at the same time because you're making a sacrifice to other player. Let's say that no one wants to play support, but you still haven't picked yet. So I get this kind of emphasized feeling that I need to play the support. Why? Even though I'm not the best support, I need to still pick it for the team. So if none of the players do want to play support and you give their best roles and you fill out yourself, it might turn out better than you play your best role and force someone else to play the bad roles they don't want to play. So even checking for my stats, I got many hours on Lucio and with Anna as well, which proves that even though I don't main those roles, I've been have to fill in many games because I get this mindset and mentality that even if no one can in this team play a proper support, I can try to fill it and try to make it work, even under the high elo circumstances and such. So sometimes filling can be a better option for the team if you wanna think for the team, because these kind of games are team-based, especially Overwatch when there are 6 versus 6. I think the team play is even more important in that game. So that the players are in their comfort zones. Very important. Also, when you have chosen the picks and they are somewhat confident with those, it's very important also that you discuss in-game tactics so they are aware of your vision of executing tasks. Like, good example is ultimate comboing. If you have Pharah and Zarya, for example, you want to make sure that you combo your Graviton Surge and Barrage together to make a nice team fight. Maybe you get 3 to 5 or maybe 6 player into the Graviton and you can just melt down the team with a nice combo. So always those kind of small but vital kind of information is important when you want to communicate. And sometimes some people might communicate too much, and this usually consists trash talking as well, like something that's not directed to the gameplay itself, like did you have a nice day, or something that's not directed to the act of the game that's going on. So that kind of small talk and trash talk, whatever it's called, you just want to save it post game. Because if you talk too much, then it's gonna get confusing, and just focus on the thing you're doing and trying to focus on the vital aspects of the game. Like example, if you're playing Zenyatta, you'd like to focus, call out the Discord orb that you're focusing, so the players know who to focus better. There are like hero specific tips and stuff like what you should do. But that also comes with trial and error when you start to notice what do you have to actually do as support, or what do you have to do within dive comps, or what do you have to do with slow comps. There are so many different variants and ways to do different kind of combos and team compositions, and communication is really important when it comes to that. And even in other games too, and then in Overwatch, that the other players do have kind of the vision that what you're doing, instead of just YOLOing around and shooting some rockets for fun. Like, you have to have some kind of strategy, especially in higher elo, so you can make something to happen instead of just derping around and trying to shoot and maybe get a couple picks and then go. So some form of strategy is very important, and like I said, too much of communication is also bad. If you're like a humble bumble talking about something unnecessary, save that for post game. After the game, do that instead. So balanced communication is the golden way of associating with players, and that's really true indeed. Just try to call out the vital things and things that really matter in the game, so that way you can get the best out of your team and increases the chances for winning. So the next topic I'll be discussing is trial and error. Well, trial and error is something very important in my opinion, and it's always the short answer when someone asks me like how you become a good player. I always like to answer in a short term. I just say trial and error. Well, it's true, because trial and error is kind of a phenomenon that all gamers do experience. And why is that? Because you play the game of your choice, and then you learn from your mistakes, and therefore you develop as a player. It's like a learning curve. You just play the game more and more and more and more, and therefore you start to notice like what's right in some situations and what's wrong in some situations, and you just start to develop as a player. And if it's really, really nice. And I've noticed in different type of games that you start to have this kind of development curve in your head, that you should maybe pick this guy on this map, or maybe this kind of strategy is better on that map. Or it's very, very obvious and sounds kind of stupid, but it's like the bottom line for a gamer who wants to develop is the trial and error. No one can be a professional when you play 5 hours into a game. You have to play more, obviously. So it's like a fact, like, and it applies to other things in life. Like if you want to be a better chef, if you want to cook like Gordon Ramsay does, you just have to cook a hell of a lot. You can't make the amazing dish with the first try, that's for sure. Same goes with driving. You drive a car, you can't be a professional driver or even a good driver if you've driven like fucking 500 kilometers in your lifetime. You can't be pro that way. You have to have more experience on that. Or any kind of job task you're attended to. If you got a specific job or something, you can't be pro right away. You have to gain that sort of an experience in it. And it applies to the gaming as well. You can't be professional with just playing a couple of hours in it. You have to develop that kind of sort of a cycle that you play more games and develop from your mistakes. That's trial and error for you, and it's really important that people do understand it, that they can be high skilled level players within the first 5 minutes, like some people might expect. But no, that's not gonna happen most likely for you. So play more the game and you'll become better for sure. If you really want to become a better player, you can make it if time invested and your mentality is right for it. So, and as for the trial and error curve, in some games, some people do learn faster than others, and some people do learn slower than others. So I'd suggest you to set up personal goals in that kind of thing. That so when you play like 10 hours and when you play 100 hours, you can just see how much you've developed yourself. You don't want to compare to your friend that, oh, this guy got to higher ranking because he's played half as much as I do. Maybe he learns faster than you. We all human beings are different, so you can't directly compare to anyone. Like, so it's kind of a personal thing how fast you can learn the game and become a better player. So you don't want to really compare to other players. You can of course take insights and tips and become a better player by listening to them if they got good advice for you. But it's ultimately you and how you develop as a player. It's kind of a personal thing, if you ask me. And in my opinion, if you want to analyze your own gameplay without anyone else criticizing it, I'd say the best way is to record your own gameplay and witness it step by step and see the good and bad moments when you play the game. Like if you record a VOD, like a video of your own gameplay, you can analyze when you watch it after. You can just see, like, for example, your position. Was your position good in that one situation, or should I have picked a different hero for that situation, or maybe this kind of team composition isn't working here, maybe we should try something else. You can see things better when you replay your own thing instead of like playing it and trying to witness it as you play. So for some people it's much easier to analyze the gameplay when you record it yourself and watch it afterwards. And you can really see, in my opinion, at least better than you would play at the same time. You can see better the mistakes you're doing when you watch the replays, if you have any kind of mistakes. Everyone does, no one is perfect. So you can see the mistakes you're doing better. If you want to be a self-criticizer, then I suggest you to record your games and see how you're really doing and try to analyze that way. It's a good way to do so. And if you're bad at analyzing yourself, maybe if you got a friend that's more higher elo, more experienced, maybe he can come analyze for you and tell you what's wrong with your gameplay and what's preventing you getting higher elo, or why you're getting stuck at some skill rating or something like that. And a thing about the skill rating is that you don't want to stare your elo or skill rating too intensively. And why is that? Because you rather want to make notes of your own progression and see how far you've made. This means that it doesn't necessarily mean if a player gets to diamond is that he's maybe worth of diamond. Maybe he just had a good luck of getting the diamond. So the elo gives you a direction of what kind of skilled player you are. But I think it doesn't ultimately give you the exact value how good you really are. It gives you just a direction of what sort of staged player you are. Are you medium elo or high elo or whatever? So sure, it gives you that sort of a direction, but you still wanna rather analyze yourself as a player. That have I improved past these months or years of gameplay? Like, for example, Roadhog in Overwatch, that has my hook accuracy gotten better? Am I still doing too greedy hooks, or is my position just fine? Or those kind of small things that will make the big picture as a whole. When you try to develop yourself as a player, it's a big thing to discuss, and there are a lot of minor details in it that makes you a better player or worse player in a worst case. So just analyzing your own gameplay and just the fact that you're aware of that, you will learn from your mistakes in this trial and error kind of curve. So this is very important, and just play more of the game and you will develop as a player. If you're really into it, if you're not enjoying the game, it's most likely you won't be developing that fast, at least. But it's very important that you just play the game and have fun with it, and therefore you will develop as a player when you're having fun, and you will start to learn new strategies around, and you'll get there eventually. I'm sure of it. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today is final thoughts and tips for this overall philosophy and thinking how players should play solo queue and competitive in a correct way. So the best competitive experience is achieved when you queue up with a positive attitude and optimistic approach. So I'm kind of summing things up here. So that's very important. And the most important thing is that you're having fun, but not like a trolley style fun that you play a shitty pick just to have fun, but you like purely enjoy the game and have pure blast with it as you do progress the game. And if you played a lot of hours in one session, it's sometimes good to take a break and recollect your thoughts. Like, let's say if you play several hours in a row, it's sometimes good to have a little break and get your thoughts to somewhere else. If you're stuck in a certain thing for too long time, maybe your mind starts to get a little numb or dull. And that break can really make things better for you. Whether it's just a break or you can do a maybe 10 to 60 minute walk, which can do a lot of good things to you. Plus a healthy lifestyle is also a thing that will boost your mentality positively. So all those things can affect like how you play the game. If you're just sitting in a home 24/7 ordering pizza and having a bad healthy lifestyle, it can also affect you mentally, like in a worse way. So just try to have a golden balance in life with things like have a little walk and here and there and just take a break from the games and then come back to it later, and you might have a new approach to it and you start to have that kind of a fresh mind in it. I remember when I had a 1 week break from all the gaming and I came back from a vacation recently, and how fresh the game actually felt. It's amazing, like, wow, this is this and that's that, and wow. It was really great to have those little breaks here and there. So it can help your mentality when it comes to playing. And for some tips, I got a few more left. So as for PC gamers, getting new gear and or accessories can improve your gameplay. So good example is you want to have a mouse that's comfortable to your hand, which makes your aim better. So I don't know what kind of mouse you're using, how long have you been using the mouse. It doesn't have to be a specific mouse or recommended by pro players or anything like that. No, that's not the point. The point is that you play with a mouse that you really are comfortable with. It feels good in your hand and it feels natural. Those movements with your mouse, it feels natural to you. I think having a good mouse is more important than having a good keyboard. Of course, keyboard can affect it, but in FPS games like Overwatch or CSGO, just the mouse is that you're one with the mouse. It's very important that it feels natural to you, so you can develop an aim curving too, so you shoot better when you play more and more the game. So it's very important, and maybe in some situations, if you get a higher hertz monitor, it can increase your value as a gamer, especially in FPS games. It can increase your reaction time, for example. I remember having a 60 Hz monitor for years, and I had plenty of 60 Hz monitors, and then I started to hear about those higher Hertz monitors. Then first there was the 144 Hz monitor, and I actually tried with one of my friends, and it felt pretty amazing, but I took the bar even higher, and I just went straight and got a 240 Hz monitor. And when you think from a technical standpoint, the difference between 60 and 240 is that you see 4 times more frames in a 1 second than you would see in a 60 Hz monitor. Obviously, you have to have a PC that runs 240 FPS. So it's very demanding for your PC, but the technical point that you can see 4 times more frames in a 1 second, it can really increase your reaction time. And in a fast-paced game like Overwatch, and especially if you play fast-paced heroes like Tracer or Genji, I'd say it really helps out in general. Like, I'd say I maybe got a 15, 20, 25% increase in gameplay overall, because I can now react to things better with the higher hertz monitor. So very, very cool stuff. So maybe eventually you might want to invest on those if you think that, especially if you're an FPS gamer, that you want to get really good at the game. So higher hertz monitor can help that as well. So that's really all the tips and thoughts I got in my mind. So I really haven't done this type of video ever, so this only came a pop of my head when I was helping a few of my friends. Like, they asked, what makes you a better player? So this is kind of my way of thinking how competitive works and how you can improve as a gamer. So if you got any questions, just hit me in the comments below, so I can try to answer those if I missed out something. So that's about it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. My name is Hepodix, and have a nice day.
So what do you expect, man? We don't need to kill the traitor.
No, we don't need to kill the traitor. It's called repairing the enemy team. No, we don't.
It's because shit fucking
It's so fucking.
It's because shit fucking
So fucking.